And now we have Frances Keene. Thank you very much, Frances.
Good morning. My name is Frances Keene, and I work with refugees for Samaritas. I'm just going to give you a small background, not of myself, but Samaritas has a home in Jackson for 12 refugee boys. We offer hope and compassion to our mission is to serving people as an expression of the love of Christ. And our vision is we connect people with families and communities, and we empower them to live their fullest life possible and create a ripple and effect of transformation. And we do that every day in our work that we carry out. As just a small Samaritas overview, Samaritas is the largest nonprofit in Michigan. They provide foster care in the state of Michigan. Again, our mission is to serve people as an expression of the love of Christ. Staff and clients are from all faith, traditions, and denominations. Samaritas also provides services in the areas of refugee resettlement, community support services, services for persons with disability, service for adults or senior adults, homeless shelter, and a lot more. I actually didn't know this till I started working for Samaritas. I didn't know that they offered all the services, and they have homes all over Michigan. For seniors, I didn't know they had a program for seniors, and they actually offer a lot. Refugee foster care programs are, the refugees, when they come here, sometimes it's due to human trafficking victims, victims of abuse and neglect, and some are just looking for asylum seekers. So the youth that's coming now, a lot of our youths are from South Central America or Central America. We have 2 boys right now from Africa. About 8 are from Guatemala, El Salvador, and Mexico. And are we going to play this? No. The One Child's Journey. It just gives you perspective through their eyes and how when they get here. And I'm kind of nervous, so it's like, forgive me. I don't know was that the one we were going to show? Pardon? Was that the video we were going to show? All right, it's okay. We can move on and we can show the next one, the other one. Sorry, because I did have 2 videos, but I don't want to take up all your time, and I just want to try to stress about the home that we have in Jackson. We have boys 16 to 18, and when they turn 18, they age out of our programs. And right now, we have one boy coming up next week. He's going to be aging out. They get SIJ status, meaning they're working on getting status for their immigration so that they can work and live here. The foster care, the providers, the care for youth who are younger, less mature, and strongly deserves family connection. That means we're always looking for foster care for some of our boys, because sometimes they're not, they're still kids, and they need that support. We also have independent living programs, and this is we have 3 homes in Lansing right now for independent living. Some boys are ready to live by themselves. So we would put 4 youths in one house, and what they learned when they stayed with us, they learn life skills, they learn money management, and they're really ready for this part of the program, the independent. Then we have independent plus programs, living on their own, which I just said. And then we have a program where we still staff it. We put 1 staff member in the home. She just sits there, watches them, leave them do their own, let them live by themselves, but still have somebody there to help them if they have any needs. Also, we have host homes, which they would live with local families that helps them learn independent living skills while offering the support of a family again, often for youth going to college or moving from a group home, in which we're a group home. So the young man that I just spoke about is aging out in a week. He goes to school at Da Vinci. He's in the CNA program, CNA program in Jackson College. And we're trying to right now find a home for a couple of months, a host home, so that he can finish up school and he can finish the program. We really don't want to send them to Lansing because a lot of our resources comes out of Lansing. And we're trying to find homes here for them so that they can still go to school, finish school, and graduate. And like Gudiel is his name, he's very much into the program. So we're really trying to find that host home. So if anybody has a room or knows somebody that will give this boy a place to stay for a couple of months, then that would be wonderful. With whom do we work? Unaccompanied refugee minors. Refugees who have lost or been separated from their families, a lot overseas, ages 16 to 17, under 18 and unable to resettle in their own country. And also we're always looking for a long-term placement in foster care. And these are the boys, the URM boys are boys that have status. We have a house in Charlotte. We have 12 boys living in that home that they have their status, immigration status. The Jackson house is a UC house. The boys that we have do not have their status. We worked very hard in that year or 2 years. Some of them has only 1 year, some has 2 years, depending on how long, what age they were when they came. So we have till they're 18 to get their status, in which a lot of the times is very successful. 2 weeks ago, one boy had 1 day to go. He was really freaking out that he wasn't going to get his status. He was going to be put out of the program and back to the detention center in Chicago. And he had so much anxiety that he ended up in the hospital 4 times. But the day before, God works in mysterious ways, he got his SIJ. So therefore, he moved into the next phase of our program. Because after 18, if they do not have SIJ, Samaritas are kind of cut off. They're adults, and they have to work their own way. I just want to give you. Where are they coming from? Like I said, in 2017, the refugee foster care referrals by country. I mean, 128 kids from Guatemala, 76 from Honduras, just give you a rough idea. All the different countries that we take kids. Can move on. Then the post-dating home that we have in Lansing actually was formed here in Jackson, 4 churches came together because we had 4 boys, again, aging out last year. They didn't get their immigration status while they were in our home, but 4 churches came together. One provided the home, and the 4 churches formed a board. So every money that comes to the Post 18, to the churches, is for the boys so that they can continue with their education, they can continue with their lawyers, and they can continue to get their status. And right now that home we have 4 boys and it's full. So it's a wonderful thing that people in our community can come together and set up something like this. They volunteer there for the boys. Everything is volunteer and everything is provided through funding. They do fundraisers and it's amazing. How to help? You could either be a volunteer, a mentor, a host home, a foster care. You can donate or take on a project. Right now, we have 12 boys in this home in Jackson. We have a back house that's in need of renovating, because we want to renovate it for, we want to have a classroom there, because we have IL classes where we teach the boys independent living. They have therapy every week, and they have case management. And when these things go on, the house is hectic. It's too small. We don't have enough of rooms to separate. So we're really hoping to renovate the back house into a classroom, a case management room, and a therapy room, and space for the boys. Yep. So this is a little video that gives you a little more information. And we're always looking for anybody, know of anybody that's looking for work. We are looking for direct care workers, youth specialists. We're always in need for youth specialists. So if anybody is interested, you can contact me or give you the information.
What are the qualifications for that?
To be a youth specialist on a high school diploma. And it's a very rewarding job, actually, because you get to spend, they're the people that spend a lot of time with the boys. They teach them independent living, they go to the Y with them, they take them playing soccer. It's a fun job. I often watched and said, oh, I wish that job was around when I was young. Go ahead.
Do they need help learning English?
Yes, they do. But our boys, it's amazing. I came from Ireland in 1986 as an immigrant, and I had a green card. And I look at these boys, it wasn't as hard for me, but I look at these boys and I say, they don't speak
Parent
English.
through the Transitional Ducks program.
What we as the Lost Boy has gone through,
And
honestly, nobody should ever gone
a
through.
joy because
In Kenya, we stayed there for almost 9 years when the opportunity came
it's
to
just
say
a
you're going to the
30-day to
United States of
90-day
America.
program. We get to
didn't know
welcome.
where it was. I've been blessed to even come to the United States, so I start digging to myself and say, okay, what can I do?
It's all right. I think you got up the first one as well, but that's okay. But yes, they learn English by the time they leave our program. They're very good English, and I can't speak Spanish. I couldn't learn Spanish that fast.
You mentioned there was someone at Da Vinci. Are they in other local schools as well?
No, they go to Da Vinci because it's a small school. The numbers are small. So we don't want to put them into Culture Shock, to put them into Jackson High. Well, they're big schools. And we find that this Da Vinci is working really good because the number of kids in per class is good, and they get a lot of attention, and they have ESL teacher, so it works. Okay.
The Transitional Ducks program and being a foster parent through the Transitional Ducks program, it's a joy because it's just a 30-day to 90-day program. We get to welcome children into our home and just help them really adjust to life here in the United States. Many of them have different cultural backgrounds, and it's always fun and exciting to get to teach them a little bit about what America is like and introduce them into our family and just love on them. Many of them are very loving, very excited to be here and looking forward to the next stage of their life. Our kids have come into the United States multiple different ways. One of our kids from Guatemala actually traveled by semi-truck, by train, and then finally when he made it across the river and was in Texas, he was injured when he was being pushed along as they were running from immigration. And he laid there injured, and because he couldn't move fast enough, he was left behind by the group and spent the next 3 days walking across Texas trying to find home. He knew Houston was home, and so he asked people along the way, and finally his injury got the best of him, and as well as hunger, and he turned himself in. Another one of our girls, who's 11, from Honduras, came literally by foot, walked for 45 days across each country to get into the United States. We learn their story when they actually arrive at our home, and they've been interviewed as to why they're here in this country, how they came here, who they came with, and who they're hoping to go see. Many of them will have a phone number memorized of who their sponsor is going to be. Sometimes it's their mom or another relative that's here in the United States, and literally from my home that phone call is made for the first time to let them know that their child is here in the United States and that they're safe, and what the process is for that sponsor. We've been foster parents through Lutheran Social Services for 6 years and have had the opportunity to foster 28 kids, 11 of those being through the DUCS program. And one of the major differences that we've seen is that the expectation from the transitional ducks is very different than domestic kids. You're a part of their journey, you're a stop along their way. So their expectations of you are different in that they're not looking for a place to call home or your home to be their home. They're not looking for you to be their mom and dad or to fill that spot for them. They're just looking for a safe place to be. They're so grateful to have a warm bed to sleep in and food to eat and just some toys to enjoy. And for us, we have biological children as well, and it's very different because their expectations of them are different as well. They see them more as friends than brothers and sisters, and that's been emotionally a much different journey than it has been for our domestic kids. Some of the challenges about having transitional ducks for us have been obviously the language barrier. We went into this knowing no Spanish whatsoever as of 7-8 months ago. So we've been learning Spanish from the kids themselves, which has been funny. We've had 4-year-olds correct our Spanish. When the kids are upset or crying, they're sad, you're not exactly sure why, and it's hard to always use a translation app on your phone or on the computer to figure out what's going on in their heart. You really are limited in the ability to help them. But one great thing about this program is the caseworkers have been amazingly supportive. Any time of night we've been able to call and get the support of our caseworkers who can speak Spanish and can explain what's going on. One night we had our transitional ducks out to dinner at one of our favorite burger places, and this was about 3 weeks into one of the girls being at our home. She was 11 years old, and she's looking around the restaurant saying light and chair and table, and then she looks at me and she says, "Sexy and I know it?" Because that was one of the few English words that she had known and wondered all this time what that meant because she had heard it in music. So that was pretty funny to try to explain. Sometimes it's been a challenge to have kids go home just within the 30-day period. We've had some that have really taken our hearts home with them in that 30-day time period. But it's also a joy because within the first week they're really uncomfortable, they're not sure what to expect from you, what to expect from America and this program that they're just learning about. And then within the next week they start to open up, and then the third week usually they really open up and you get to see their personality and learn a lot more about them. They become more trusting and really become attached to you as well.
So, any other questions?
How do they end up with Samaritas rather than in detention?
Oh, when they come through the borders, They're put into shelter in probably Arizona, California, that kind of way. They're held in detention center, or is Office of Refugee, has contracts with Lutheran Social Services, Samaritas. Sometimes it's hard to think of their new names, Samaritas. They would contact them. The process before we get any of the boys is very long, but they go into everything like behavioral problems, the screening. We take boys that, is very good behaviors. I have, as the length of time I've been in the house, it's open a year now. I have never saw any difficulty with their behaviors. And they're all, like this lady said, they're always so grateful. It's like, no, you don't have to thank me for everything. No, it's okay. So that's how they come. They come shelter, then the Office of Refugees take over, then they contact Lutheran Services, and they screen the boys, and if they're appropriate for our program, then they come. And then you're going to probably want to know what happens to the rest of the kids. It's sad. There's other agencies. There's, can't think of it right now offhand, in Michigan that also has a program for refugees. But the boys that we have, I couldn't say enough about them, So that's how they come.
How do you handle homesickness?
Actually, we have, you mean homesickness? Can you explain that more so I can explain it better to you? What is?
This longing for home that we all have when we're away from home.
When they come, it is, because I lived 20 years with homesickness in America. I always wanted to go home. But then I bought a home and got married, and then I never went home. Well, I went home for a visit. But what we do is we get their relatives, whoever they want to call. They make phone calls twice a week to whatever individual that they want to call home. And sometimes it's sad to watch them after their phone call. And sometimes they just want a better life. They know that they can't go back there because there's reasons why they came. And I don't know. They're probably always going to long to go home. Because I still long to go home to live in Ireland. Yeah.
Oh, I sure appreciate the closed captioning. Given the acoustics in here and the acoustics recorded, it's very helpful having the closed captioning. But as we all know, closed captioning is a little unusual sometimes. Now there was a word in there 4 times. Twice it was spelled D-U-C-K-S. Once it was spelled D-U-C-T-S, and once it was spelled S-U-C-K-S. What is that word? Please spell it.
Ducks.
Spell it.
Is it an acronym for something like D as in dog, U as in?
Actually, it's a good question. I don't know that one. Because can we go back to that and maybe I can figure this out?
Dependent underage children.
Because it's just a 30-day to 90-day program. We get to welcome children into our home and just help them really adjust to life here in the United States. Many of them have different cultural backgrounds, and it's always fun and exciting to get to teach them a little bit about what America is like and introduce them into our family and just.
Did we just go by it? Well, the first time, you went by it within the first 10 seconds of her talking.
DCS, there we go.
So that's all it is DCS.
DCS.
Department of
And
Children's Services.
Children's Services. ducks.
Well, in
Thank you,
the-
you're after teaching me now, so I know the next time somebody asks me that question.
In there, it'll be spelled D-U-C-K-S,
Oh, okay.
and it'll be spelled D-U-C-T-S,
Yeah, okay.
and it'll be spelled S-U-C-K-S.
It was
I
even
don't know what you do to fix it.
DECKS once.
Okay.
I noticed as well.
Okay, well, thank you for pointing that out, so now I know it's the Department, Division of Children's Services.
So they just call it ducks,
And they just call it ducks.
but it's Department of Children's Services. DC.
Yeah,
Well, there we are.
there you are.
Very much. Let me mention, since I've
Very
come here
observant.
before again, my non-girlfriend, whose birthday is today, is from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and for the last 20 years, she has worked at what they call the Jane Addams School there. I have no earthly idea, but that school is entirely for refugees, and they get to be there for 2 years, and she teaches second grade, and she'll have 28 students and 17 different languages. No English on day one. And they usually come from Africa and the Middle East. Mm-hmm. So are you aware of this sort of stuff?
Yes, we are, and there's, when the kids come from different countries through the border, they have even schools set up in those detention centers where they teach them English and they try and give them as much services as possible.
There's some amazing human beings out there doing
Correct.
amazing work with these kids.
And a lot of people forget that. There is a lot of people out there doing amazing work for these refugees.
Well, she knows how to say hello in about 20 different languages.
It's like, I'm going to learn Spanish pretty soon too.
Are there more young males coming than females? And also, how, maybe can you guess at what percentage of kids are coming unaccompanied by their parents or an adult family member?
As it pointed out, 126 Guatemalans. That's a lot of boys coming unaccompanied. We have a home in Lansing for girls. We actually have more boys than girls in the program, and I think the reason for that is the older of the sons in the home. Some of their parents sends them off to America to make money to send it back. But unfortunately, that don't happen sometimes. So they wouldn't really send a daughter off because some of these kids, like I said in the video, come across extreme things on their journey. I mean, we have one boy right now from Africa, and I couldn't really tell you how he got from Africa. I could when he tells me, and I'm like, how did you do that? And he was 45 days or 50 days or something like that, coming across the desert. I'm like, wow. So we have more boys, and I think the men up here was to get to America. Some of them are in gangs. The parents wants to get them out of the gangs, so they send them off. They save this money and pay somebody to get them to where they are, but sometimes these coyotes just drop them in the desert and leave them and keep the money and leave them get where they want to get by themselves. So the stories are horrifying sometimes because you look at the kid and say, we have one little guy right now, he's small. And I'm like, you look so innocent. How did you get here? But they did. And you see a difference within our program after they come for a couple of days. They're all, it's like the honeymoon period. No one talks. They're quiet. And then they open up after a couple of weeks. And it's like, wow, what a difference in that kid in a couple of weeks from the time he first came into the house. They're scared, they're shy, they're lonely, they're homesick. And then they blossom. They open up. Because we have a lot of activities. We have a lot of things that the boys do. They go to school, they come home, they have dinner, they do their chores, they They have IL class, they have therapy, they have case management, and they're always asking, can we go to the Y? Of course, go to the Y, exercise. Soccer, loves soccer at Ellishaw Park. Loves going there. So, that's it. Thank you. Any other questions?